Good morning, everyone. I apologize for the late start. We were having some system issues. I want to thank you guys for joining our webinar today. Today we'll be discussing NGL with John Entingh. So again, thanks again for attending. John, I know that you're on. I just want to make sure that you can see my screen. Can you see it?
I can see your screen and your voice is a little low again. I don't know what that is, but just letting you know.
Okay, well, I'll try and talk louder. How's this?
That's perfect.
Okay, all right, great. Well, again, thank you guys for joining the webinar. I'm Tony Butler. I'm one of the life sales directors here. And again, we're going to be discussing NGL with John Entingh. Prior to us getting started, there's a few housekeeping items I'd like to go over real quick. First and foremost, as an agent, we understand that referrals are a big part of your business. We like to reward, I should say, agents for referring other agents to us. So we do have a referral bonus program to where if you refer an agent to IAMS and that agent does get appointed with one of our carriers, we will provide you with the $50 referral bonus. Any subsequent business that that agent writes, you do get 20 basis points. Program, we have enhanced this to where we now have 5 different levels. If you are a new producer and you're producing within the first 180 days of getting appointed, we do have a $100,000 level, 250,000, 500, 750, and 1 million. And as you see here, these are the different bonuses, if you will, that you can get for producing with IAMS. If you have any questions regarding our new producers builders, please don't hesitate to give me a call. We also provide back office support for you here. We like to say that we help you work work smarter, not harder. We do have business building tools that are available to you, case design assistance. We do help with life and annuity quotes, case designs. We do also offer paperless contracting. And with that, especially in today's environment and getting in front of clients right now, we do offer e-applications, and that's through a couple of different platforms that we have. We do have Firelight, which is available that you can register for. And on the left here, you can see some of the carriers that are available on Firelight. And to the right here, there's some carriers that we're in the works with adding as well. If you have any questions regarding Firelight or getting registered with Firelight, please give us a call. We can help you get that set up. We also have a creative marketing solutions department, and they can help you whether it's a turnkey agency or digital solutions. So if you're looking for professional handouts, newsletters, or postcards, you're looking to redesign your logo, or maybe you need a logo, or if you want to get into the digital marketing space, our team can help you with that as well. Please don't hesitate to give us a call on that. We also have a 24/7 website. And again, I mentioned before in regards to electronic applications, in addition to the Firelight platform, you can do e-applications through iGo eApp through our website as well. We have excellent sales tools. On the website, if you're a life agent, you are able to run your own life quotes or universal life quotes. You do have the ability to access forms through our website as well. If you have questions as far as navigating through the website or you need help with navigating through the website, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We also have a retirement analyzer that's available to our agents. The retirement analyzer can answer questions for your clients such as, can I continue my present standard of living into my retirement years? How would it affect my family if I were to die prematurely? What are the possible solutions if my situation changes? If you are interested in this, please give us a call. We'd be more than happy to walk you through that. It is free for 30 days. And after that, if you're producing X amount of production with either single premium life or annuities, we do still offer that free. So give us a call and we can discuss the specifics on that as well. We also have IAMS Wealth Management Team. That wealth management team is designed to help you get in front of your higher net worth clients. They're able to help you increase your revenue, improve client retention, and strengthen client relationships. So if you have an interest in the IAMS Wealth Management Team, please give Charles Jr. a call. He and his team would be more than happy to discuss what's available to you. And if you're interested in that, I do have a polling question that I'm going to launch here. I'll leave this up for a few more seconds. And then we'll go ahead and close this out. Okay, we also have the Life and Annuity Academy. We did have one scheduled here in May. I think that's kind of up in the air now with today's climate, but just so that you know, we try to do these once a quarter, and they're a 2-day training course that we pay for. So we pay for your flight, your lodging, your food. And what we do in this 2-day training is we have some of our top producers come in to talk about different sales ideas and strategies. A lot of times we will co-present with one of our top carriers, and they will talk about some of their top products. Again, the one in May is up in the air because of our current climate situation with COVID-19. But I'm going to put out a polling question. So if you'd like to get more information in regards to the Life and Annuity Academy, can definitely get you some additional information. So I've got that question up for you. And I'll leave that up for a few more seconds. I see quite a few people are looking for additional information on this. Okay, we'll go ahead and close that out. Lastly, we do have a few trips that are available. We've got the IAMS Entingh 2020 Marketing Summit that's scheduled for August 26th through the 29th. The invitation period is listed here. It's July 1st through June 30th, 2020. We also have Paradise Pacific. That trip is scheduled March 7th through the 11th of 2021. Qualifications period is July 1st of 2019 through December 31st of 2020. Qualification requirements are 3.5 million points. And then we also have Shores of Serenity, which is the IAMS Elite Summit, which is March 11th through the 14th. Qualification periods are the same period. Minimum requirements for this is 6.5 million points. If you get 8.5 million points or more, you qualify for both of those trips. So with that, I am going to turn this over to John. John, you here?
I am. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm going to make you the presenter. And there you go.
Perfect. You see the screen okay?
Yes, I do.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I am talking to you this morning from Columbus, Ohio. My name is John Entingh, and I'll be doing the presentation for you on the NGL Funeral Trust. One of the things I do want to say to you, and I like to always mention this at the beginning, is I am a producer. I'm in the field. I run a financial services practice here in Columbus with a couple offices. So I'm not coming to you from the seat of a home office person. I'm actually out there practicing what I preach. And so some of the things and all the things, quite frankly, you're going to hear from me today, we've implemented in our business, and we've been very successful with it, and always get excited when I get to share that with other advisors across the country. So that being said, I'm going to move along today and talk to you about what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about the opportunity that exists in the marketplace with this particular product. We'll talk about the trusts themselves. We'll talk about the product that we use to fund the trust. I'll give you some good presentation ideas and tools that you can use immediately. And then we'll talk about the company itself, National Guardian Life, and tell you what they've meant to our business. And one of the biggest reasons that they've been very impactful in our business is the way that they conduct their business. So this opportunity was brought to me quite a while ago now, 14 years going on 15, by a mentor of mine that I really looked up to in this business. And at the time, I didn't know anything about National Guardian Life or a funeral trust, what it even meant. But he told me it was an opportunity for me to add $40,000 to $50,000 a year to my bottom line. And he encouraged me to kind of use that as my focus to pay for all of my office expenses. And that's turned out to be a very good piece of advice, because we've implemented this and we've used it for years, and we do use it and kind of count on it every year to pay for all of our office expenses. So I'll tell you about the opportunity and how that's helped us out in our business. But we're all in the planning business. It's what we do. But you have to consider this. Most significant events in our lives require planning. I don't care what it is that you're doing. You got to have some type of a plan put in place to make things happen. And again, we know our job is to talk to our clients about the options that they have, show them how this plan can help them take some issues off the table that their family will face later, and then help them find the money to be able to fund the plan and make it as easy as possible on them to do business with us. And when we talk about that, funeral and final expenses aren't any different. Someone's going to need to determine the services and pay the bill. And then that question becomes who's going to do it, and when are they going to do it? And so there's two different routes to go on that. It can either be the deceased getting their affairs in order and putting this plan into place prior to their death, or at that point, if it's not done, it's left to the survivors afterward. And I'll just tell you a little story about me, a personal story. I'm the youngest of 5 children. My mom and dad divorced when I was 2 years old. I wasn't really close with my father. But anytime anything ever happens in our family, I've always kind of been the entrepreneur, and they come to me to get questions answered and get my opinion. So on January 21st of 2011, my dad passed away. Again, I didn't have a close relationship with him. We never talked about this kind of stuff. But I found myself sitting in a funeral director's office, and the funeral director was asking me questions like, what's your dad's mother's maiden name? What was his highest rank in the military? His favorite flower, his favorite hymn? These were things that I didn't have answers to. But what it made me realize at that point was that all of these clients that I had been working with and putting this plan into place, that their family wasn't going to have to deal with this. And that actually helped me get through that time, knowing all the other families that I'd helped to keep out of the situation that I was actually facing on that day. So with National Guardian Life, they have a couple different routes you can go. They have the plan and pay for the funeral, which is the pre-need side. That's where you go in the funeral home, pick out your casket, your vault, all those things, and then you pay for them up front. That's called a prepay. But then our side of the fence, where you would become involved, would be to pay for the anticipated expenses. So we're not having them go in and prepay the funeral home. We're kind of walking them through and saying, hey, these are the expenses you're going to face. Why don't we look at setting aside money today to make sure in the future that these expenses are taken care of? And there's a method to that madness, and I'll walk you through as we go through the presentation and show you how we present that to our clients. The first thing is people need to understand how much a funeral costs. you know, they're expensive. I always ask our clients whenever we settle a National Guardian life claim, how much was the funeral? I hear everything that ranges from $9,000 to $18,000, just depending on what that particular client either wanted or is wanted by the family for them. So one of the questions that we will ask our clients is, you know what, if something happened to you yesterday, how would your funeral be paid for today? And then the important thing to that is to listen carefully to their response, because with that question later on, you're going to be able to show them how to pivot towards this product and the benefits that is going to be given to them and their family. So it's a huge opportunity, and we know that. They did a national survey. 72% of the people thought it was a good idea to pre-plan their funerals, but 64% of them had not taken any steps to do so. And we think that the reason for that is when it's a nice, beautiful, sunny morning, you know, a husband doesn't wake up and look at his wife and go, hey, why don't we run down to the funeral home today and pick out a casket? The human mind can only think for about 11 to 12 seconds about their own demise, and then it just switches subjects in your mind and goes on to something else. One thing we know about this is that your clients aren't any different, because as I expressed to you, I own a couple of financial services offices. I'm working with the same clientele you're working with. The only difference in my practice is I'm asking them some key questions to get them motivated to understand that this is an important part of the overall planning picture. So how big is this market? Over the next 20 years, 80 million people are expected to file for Social Security benefits. That's got to be exciting to everybody that intends on being in this marketplace for a while, because the reality is in just 5 short years, there's going to be twice as many seniors as there are today. So imagine if you can perfect this and understand it and be able to articulate it to your clients, what kind of a revenue impact that's going to have on your business moving forward. So we all know that 69% of all Americans older than 65 are going to need some type of nursing care at some point in the future. And that cost of care right now is anywhere from 82, and we could probably update this slide to $100,000 per year. And it's growing at about a rate of 4% over the past 5 years. The thing that we start our conversation with a lot of clients with is, you know, 93% of all Americans don't have any long-term care coverage. And what ends up happening, as we explain to the clients, is if they need some sort of care in the future, they're going to go into what's called spend down. And the spend down basically means they're going to try to qualify for Medicaid so that their long-term care stay can be paid for by the government. And so we'll talk to them about that, and we'll say, hey, let us show you how to protect some of that money. At a minimum, what you need to take care of your final expenses. But if you have other money you would like to protect above and beyond that, we've got a solution for that as well. So how this all fits together with National Guardian Life is we're going to take the financial protection of life insurance, and then we're going to use the advantages of an irrevocable funeral trust. And so it's going to let your clients permanently set their money aside and to plan ahead for their final expenses, that we all know one thing's certain: at some point in our life, we're going to pass away. So by using that trust to hold the funds for the funeral expenses, we are effectively spending down that asset, and that could help them qualify for Medicaid quicker than they normally would, and also protect that asset for their final expenses into the future. So we'll talk a little bit about the trusts themselves. The trusts are protected from creditors. The benefits are going to pay out 100% income tax free. The funds are available immediately once the client passes away, and the trusts are free. Now, this is important because I get some referrals from an elder law attorney that I have a close relationship with, and normally if you wanted to go in and talk to the attorney about just doing an irrevocable trust to protect all of your assets from a nursing home, it starts out with a $7,900 check payable to the attorney, and then from that point, the costs just go up. The more work he needs to do, the more he charges you, which for some people, they need that. But for a lot of clients, they're just looking to protect a certain amount of money. And again, the trusts with this are free. It's provided by National Guardian Life. Everyone's going to qualify for the trust. The funeral expenses are going to be paid for out of the trust. No probate cost or delays of getting the money from National Guardian Life to the funeral home. And I'll show you how that works here in a couple minutes. One of the important things here is these funds are totally portable. And the reason that's important is if you prepay for your funeral here in Columbus, Ohio at a funeral home, and then your kids and grandkids take a job in Florida and you decide that's where you're going to live out the rest of your life, that can be tough to get those funds from where you've prepaid at a local funeral home to another funeral home. With this plan, you're not picking a funeral home. The funds are portable and they're accepted by any funeral home in the United States. So how do the trusts compare to traditional savings instruments? I think this is important, and this is really a nice chart to point out to your clients if you're talking to them about this. You can see that every column we're looking for a yes for only falls underneath the irrevocable funeral trust. So as you look through that and you look across the headlines at the top and kind of follow the columns down, this is a really powerful product. It's going to give your clients the safety and security of knowing that that money's going to be there at a time when their family's going to need it the most. So just to kind of walk you through, and this is a great piece to show to your clients when you're talking to them about it. But basically what happens is we're going to explain the concept. One of my favorite questions to ask a client, and it's very simple: have you prepaid your funeral? If that client tells me no, then I'm going to start talking to them about the irrevocable funeral trust. I'm going to show them how we can take money from savings account, existing annuities, existing life insurance policies. We can have what we do is we buy a life insurance policy with it. Now it's not like a traditional single pay policy. For some of you understand how that works with a traditional single pay. You could give them $15,000 cash. You may get a $25,000 death benefit and then have access to that cash value. Well, here, there is no cash value. We're not looking for cash value. What we're trying to do is to get this money protected. So in an instance, just to give you an example, if we put 15,000 in this fund, it's going to start with maybe 15,300 a death benefit, and then the insurance company is going to pay them a 0.5% simple interest credited daily. That rate used to be a lot higher, but because of the interest rate environment that we're in, they've had to lower it. But still, it's a great plan for protecting money. It's not about how big can I grow the money. It's about putting the money aside and getting it protected. That's something very important to stress to your clients. Then the death benefit's going to grow. We're going to assign that policy to the irrevocable funeral trust. That's where it's going to earn the interest, and it's going to be protected from everything we showed you in the last graph. Then what will happen is when your client passes away, and again, I've been doing this for 14 or 15 years with National Guardian Life. I've went through the process many times, and I will tell you it is seamless. What will happen is a client will call me, hey, John, wanted to let you know my dad died. He said to call you in the event something happened. I notice here he has a National Guardian Life policy. At that point, I'm asking the client what funeral home's he going to be taken to. There's one of the popular ones here in Columbus is Shedinger. He may say Shedinger. I'm going to say fine. I'm going to call Shedinger. I'm going to get a point of contact. Then I'm going to call National Guardian Life. I'm going to give them the client's name, the policy number, the funeral home name, and their fax number. At that point, I'm out of it. National Guardian Life will fax that claim form immediately to the funeral home. They do not need a death certificate. And within 48 hours, that money is in the hands of the funeral home. Any excess funds have to be paid back to the estate. So if you had a $16,000 contract, the funeral was only $15,500, that $500 will be paid back to the estate. And the reason for that is we had to eliminate all incidents of ownership to the deceased because we were protecting the money from a Medicaid spend down. So pretty easy concept to explain to the clients, and again, pretty easy for the average advisor to understand. So there's two types of funeral, or two types of trust, I should say, with National Guardian Life. The first one is the NGL Funeral Expense Trust. Here in Ohio, we can put up to $15,000 into that and have that money excluded immediately from a Medicaid spend down scenario. I oftentimes will have that attorney I talked about, he'll call me, he'll say, hey, I wouldn't be surprised if it would happen this week. He would call me and say, hey, I have a client, I'm going to try to get them qualified April 1st for Medicaid. I need you to come write $15,000 on the husband and the wife and get $30,000 off the ledger sheet for me. We can do that. We can do it immediately because they have the ability to protect that money, and then when they're applying for Medicaid, it does not show up as an asset. Now, the trust, again, just like I showed you in the previous slide, it's going to pay the funeral cost, and then any excess funds have to go back to the estate of the insured. Now, they also have the NGL Estate Planning Trust. This would be for a client where I asked them the question, hey, have you prepaid your funeral? And they said, yeah, we've already went down to the funeral home and taken care of all that. The next key question is, do you have any other assets that you are going to be passing on to people that you would like to know is going to be protected from a nursing home spend down? And if they tell you yes, then you can show them that with the estate planning trust, we can put up to $100,000 into that. It's going to still exclude the asset, but it's going to have that 5-year look back period on it. The difference with this is going to be, if you need to use the funds to pay for funeral expenses, you can out of this plan. Any excess funds are going to be returned to a beneficiary of the insured's estate. If you do not need to pay for the funeral expenses out of that, because you told me you've already prepaid at the funeral home, all we need to do is show NGL a paid bill from the funeral home that it's already taken care of, and then all of this money in the estate planning trust will pay out to the beneficiaries. So I know Tony talked about the upcoming academy that we're having. I speak at the agent academies about this product, and one of the common questions I get from advisors, well, this is great, John, but when do I use which trust? What's the most effective way to go with this? And the reality is this: with the funeral expense trust, great for crisis planning. You can literally have a wife that you deal with whose husband is in the nursing home right now. You can write one of these plans at the spouse in the institution. You don't need to see them. The wife can sign for it. Maybe you're dealing with somebody where Medicaid's very possible within 5 years. So, they're paying their way right now, and they may be paying for their spouse in a nursing home, but they're looking at their finances and they're going, if he's in there for, the next few years, we're going to be out of money. Well, that's a great time to set money aside and know that it's protected for those final expenses. And then I do a lot of public seminars and in-house one-on-one seminars with clients or prospective clients. And a lot of times when I'm meeting with them, I ask them, have you prepaid your funeral? If they say no, I show them this plan, explain the benefits of it, and they'll tell me, yeah, you know what, we really just want to know that the money's protected now and that we've got that part of the planning out of the way. So with the estate planning trust, this would be a client where, like I said, maybe they've already prepaid their funeral. Medicaid's a non-issue, at least in their mind for now, maybe in the next 5 years or never. I have a couple teachers that are clients of mine. We're through the 5-year period. So the money that they've put into the estate planning trust, $100,000 on each one of them, plus the interest that's been growing, that is now 100% protected from the nursing home. And when they pass away, even if they were in a nursing home, went through all their other money, this money here, they know for a fact is going to go down to their children. And that's the real opportunity, because you can pick up some pretty big deals using the estate planning trust or a combination of the funeral expense trust and the estate planning trust. So we'll talk about the product itself. It's called the NGL Asset Guard. This is the life insurance component. It's really just a fixed rate single premium life product that we're going to use in combination with that funeral trust to give an increasing death benefit and financial protection for final expense planning. It can't be said any easier or better than that. So I know there's a lot of people on the call here today, so you're probably from states all over the place. So I'm going to share with you what your state looks like as far as your limits. So you can see in Ohio that in Ohio we've got the 15,000 and then the 100,000 into the estate planning trust. Maybe you live somewhere like where IAMS is located in Nebraska, and you're only allowed to put $4,916 into the funeral trust. Or maybe you're in Florida and you're not allowed to put anything into the funeral trust. Don't let that deter your planning for the client. You can still tell them they need to put the money away for their final expenses. So if I was in Florida, I'd use the estate planning trust, making them understand that it's a 5-year look back period, but at least you're doing something today and 5 years goes quick. If I was in Nebraska, I may do the 4916. I absolutely would do that for the day one protection. And then whatever other amount, if they wanted to get to 15,000, I would put that difference into the estate planning trust, again with them having the understanding that that portion does have the 5-year look back period on it. So we get this question a lot: what expenses are paid by an irrevocable funeral trust? If you look at this, you can see it's just pretty much about everything, even down to the transfer of the deceased. So maybe they were from, maybe it was from Ohio, they were up vacationing in Michigan, they passed away and they had to get the body back to Ohio. They could use the funds out of this to pay for that. So today I'm going to talk to you about the only thing we use in our practice at Entingh Financial Services, and that's the single pay. I've never done a multi-pay of this in 15 years of doing business. I find the full amount, and then I encourage the client to get it moved over and get it protected. So we have minimum face amounts there. They have raised that minimum face amount, and I apologize for that. I believe it's let's go at 500. I'll get the correct number. I don't want to speak out of turn. The maximum face amount obviously is 100,000. It has a 0.5% growth rate. Now look, as interest rate environment changes and we get down the road, I'm sure National Guardian Life will come back here and appropriately readjust this. But as we all know, being in the financial services industry, that rates for insurance companies, that's how they're doing their building of their products, and that's where we're at right now. So we have one health question on the application, which makes it nice. Nobody is going to be turned down from doing business with National Guardian Life. On the single pay, you can write it from ages 0 to 99. So if you look at that, you can see that just about everybody that you would know would be a prospect for this product. So the other thing I like is it has one health question. If your client answers no, it's a standard issue. And if they answer yes, it's a guaranteed issue. So either way, you haven't went out there and done your work for nothing to find out you've been turned down and you've wasted a bunch of your time and their time. Everybody's going to get approved. So again, I've explained to you it increases daily with simple growth, all single pay or immediate full death benefit. So if you wrote it today and you put 15,000 in, the death benefit was 15,250, and they died in the month, they get the 15,250 plus whatever interest is accrued in there. And it couldn't be easier to do. It's literally 2 pieces of paper and you're done. I always like to tell the story about the first annuity I ever wrote. It was back in 1993. It was on a gentleman who owned a dry cleaning service in Marion, Ohio. I sat down with him. 2 things happened that day. Number one, he wrote me a check for $25,000 to the insurance company that I had suggested. And then number 2, he actually let me leave the business with the $25,000 check. It was the first annuity I'd ever written. But I know one thing, it was 3 pieces of paper, and the last piece of paper was the receipt that I left with the client. If you're in the business today of annuities and life insurance and long-term care, I don't care what it is, the paperwork is exorbitant. And with this, it's literally 2 pieces of paper, your state replacement form, and you are done with your paperwork. It's a 15-minute process knowing that you're getting them issued no matter what. So this is what the application looks like. pretty standard. This is just the top of it where you're going to collect all the information from the client. If you look down there, you'll see that statement of health. So if you want to read through that real quick, because I know it'll be a question later, that's really what they're looking for as far as a yes or a no answer. But remember, the nice thing is, whether it's yes or no, we're still going to issue it and you're still going to get paid for going out and doing your work. There's the bottom of it. Client's going to sign. You're going to sign off at the agent. There's the receipt. If you pick up cash with app, you can leave them a receipt with the appropriate information filled in for them. And then this is the actual irrevocable assignment of ownership to the NGL Funeral Expense Trust. So this is your disclosure. If you're doing the estate planning trust, it's going to be a different disclosure, still one page, just different verbiage. This is really important. This is an irrevocable assignment of ownership. And anytime we're doing this with a client, we say this to them verbatim. Mrs. Jones, you're putting this money in here to protect it and have it there for your final expenses. Don't call me and ask me to cash it in. Don't call me and ask me if you can borrow out of it. It's irrevocable. Nothing can be done until you passed away and the money comes out of the trust. I've never once in 14, 15 years had anybody call and ask me, can I borrow it? Can I cash it in? Any of those things like that. So real important that you stress that to them. And that's not a negative, that's a positive because you're protecting their money. Now, if you look at the bottom here, this would be a case where typically what happens when the policy issues, it's 45 days after issue that they put it into the irrevocable trust. So I may have that attorney call me and say, hey, I've got these clients, we're trying to qualify them on April 1st. Can you come write these plans? Well, I can, but what I would have to do here is have the client sign off that they're making an immediate transfer election. In other words, they want to waive the 45 days. They want that money in there the day it's issued. They want that policy in the trust, and we can make that happen for them. If you don't sign on that, it's not a Medicaid eligibility issue, then you can allow the 45 days to go by and get it put into the trust. So it's like anything else when you're presenting to clients. I shared the story about the first annuity I ever wrote. I was very green to the business, as they say. But the one thing that happened is it was repetition. Now here we are in 2020. I can teach classes on annuities. We do millions of dollars a year in our business in annuities. And it's not because I'm the smartest guy in the world. It's repetition. I understand annuities. I know where they should be used and not be used. I can talk the language. I can make it easy for clients to do business with me. And that's what you need to do with this. It's the same learning curve, but once you know it, it's such an easy product to learn and understand. Presenting it to clients become easy. Now, typically when I get to this, I talk to clients, or not clients, but advisors will come up to me at the academies and say, well, do you have a lead program? And no, we don't. We don't have a mailer. We don't have a lead program. But if you've been in this business for any amount of time, you have a lot of clients. And if you haven't been talking to them about this, there's your lead system. These people know you, they like you, they trust you. So as I would say, I would reach out to a client and I would say, hey, Mrs. Jones, would you agree all the recommendations I've given you up to this point have worked out well? Well, I know the answer to that. The answer is yes. Well, I've got something that we haven't discussed that I'm bringing to the attention of all my clients, and I think it can benefit you and your family. We need to have that conversation. Now, typically, we're talking about a face-to-face annual review. Right now, with the times that we're in, with the COVID crisis that we have going on, I'm sure many of you have a whole filing cabinet like I do of clients. Reach out to those clients on the phone. You're looking for sales opportunities and ideas. If you haven't talked to them about this, call them. Have this discussion with them on the phone. Explain to them why it's important. If you call enough people and ask the right questions, you'll end up getting business off of it. We've proven that. So when you're presenting that funeral trust funding, stress the benefits of planning ahead. I had an advisor ask me at one of the academies, he said, I don't know how to say this to you, but man, I wish I had your story about your dad dying. And I said, well, that's a funny way to put it. And it's not your story, but you can always tell people, hey, I have a good friend in the business that this is what happened to his dad, and share my story. And let them know that it doesn't have to be that way, but you need to do some planning to prevent it from being that way. Stress, it can be used with any funeral home. And here's something that's really important. And again, this is something you can do over the phone with your clients while we're waiting out this crisis, is call them. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I've talked to you a little bit about this. My first question is, do you have any old life insurance policies that might have cash value? If they do, find out the company, do a three-way call, find out the cash surrender value, because the majority of your clients don't understand that when they die, they don't get the cash value and the death benefit. They only get what's bigger. So if you call a company with a client and they say, well, and I'm dealing with one right now, as a matter of fact, a new client, his cash value is 20,000, his death benefit is 21. So I'm encouraging him to take the 20,000 cash value, put 15 into the funeral expense trust, put 5,000 into the estate planning trust, because the reality is he only has $1,000 worth of death benefit. 20,000 of that's his own money. And if he goes in a nursing home, guess what they're going to make him spend? The cash value. So let's get it over to the non-countable side, serving the same purpose. It's for his final expenses, but protecting the money. And we can do that through a 1035 exchange. We do a lot of those with old UL policies that are blowing up, and the clients can see they're not going to be able to afford the premium and they want to salvage whatever cash values in there. We can do that for them. So really important to keep your eye on that as well. And then again, we all get paid in this business for closing the deal. So you're going to give your client that peace of mind of knowing they've planned ahead and that those funds are protected, and you're actually going to look like the hero in the situation. So where do you find the money? I tell my clients when I talk to them about this program, in reality, Mrs. Jones, if you think about it, we're really not even buying anything. And we're not. What we're doing is we're repositioning an asset that the nursing home can take from you, and we're putting it somewhere where they can't get their hands on it. That gets people's attention. So whether it's CDs, we'll ask the question, have you prepaid your funeral? I can't tell you how many times I've heard from a client, well, my daughter knows I have a CD over at the bank that's to be used to pay for my final expenses. Well, if you get sick and go in a nursing home, they'll take the CD. And if that's the purpose of it, let us show you how to get it moved into this plan and protected. Maybe you have a large block of annuity business. 90, I think it's 94% of all annuities get passed on to the beneficiary. Do some penalty-free withdrawals. Have them take that penalty-free withdrawal out, pay the taxes, and fund the plan. Again, you're helping them. So here's some of the brochures that we use when we're talking with clients. We use the two that flank the Understanding Medicaid. So we're looking at the Funeral Expense Trust and the Estate Planning Trust. These are written in layman's terms so your client can understand them clearly. One of the nice things that I was taught, fortunately, by one of my mentors, was that anytime I made a sale, whether it was an annuity, a life insurance policy, or this plan, it didn't matter. Leave your client a task. Keep them engaged during the process until you can get back with their contract. So National Guardian Life makes these available at no cost to the agents. You go online through their website, which I'll show you here in a little bit. You order them, and you give this to the client, and you tell them, hey, while I'm getting your policy issued, I'd like you to read through this and fill it out. If my dad would have had this filled out and had a National Guardian Life contract, I literally could have walked into that funeral director, handed him this document right here, and he could have taken care of everything that needed to be done, because these are all the questions he was asking me that I didn't have any information on about my father. So again, planning, planning, planning. And if you can help your clients be better prepared, no matter what their goals are, you're doing a great job, and this will help get them there. So we'll talk a little bit about National Guardian Life. Again, I'm one of those guys, you're never going to hear me say a bad word about them. I've done business with this company for 14 or 15 years now. I say 14 or 15, we're moving into 15. But I've never had an issue with them. I can't say that about any other insurance company. I've never had one issue with this company of getting my business issued, getting me paid, getting the client's money to the funeral home. It is a very well-oiled machine, and I love doing business with them. And by the way, solid company with a great rating, and they know what their job is. Support the agents that are selling these plans. So they have a great website. Once you're licensed through IAMS, we'll give you the ability to get onto this site. I mean, this site is so inclusive that anything you would need, down to a PowerPoint presentation that you could put on your computer, laptop, however you're doing your business with clients, and be able to share with them. It's a great training place to get more knowledge on the product itself. One of their things that I love is their submission to commission strategy. If I were to, we send everything 2-day mail. So if I wrote a deal today and sent it to them, they would have it on Wednesday, and my commissions are probably going to be in my account Thursday. The latest would be Friday, but they'll probably be in there Thursday. So that's another nice thing about the product, is you're not waiting, for a very long time to get compensated for your work. They're very, very good about getting that done. So why sell the product? I've given you a big outline here, but I showed you the stats. Your clients need it. They're thinking about it. No one's talking to them about it. So why not put into place an income opportunity for you and your business that will allow you to earn an extra $40,000 or $50,000 a year, or as much as you want, depending on how you market it. The trusts are free. There's no fees. There's no other professionals advising your clients with this product. The funds are portable. Again, they can be used by any funeral home provider in the country. We're using a great company. We give that peace of mind to the client. And again, if you hate paperwork like I do, you're going to love doing business with National Guardian Life. So the compensation part, I just use, if you could get 2 couples to do this a month, and they're only putting 10,000 each in, which I think is a low number. We always encourage them to max it out. But if you did that, you're going to add a minimum of $40,000 to your annual bottom line. And I know in the financial service business, we all value our time off and the ability to make our schedules work for our families and things that are important to us. And I'm even counting in there 2 months off to be able to still, live your life the way you would expect it to be lived. Here's the commission schedule. So if you look on here and you go down to a 66 to 70-year-old, that's a standard pay, the commission's 12.87%. So in this scenario, you go out, you write a married couple, $20,000. That's a $2,500, review session for you, and you've done a good job for them, helping them out. Even if they both come back as guaranteed, it's still 10.5% commission. I don't know where else that you can make that type of commission with an easier product to get in front of a client and motivate them to get the job done. So I've been on the sales conferences with National Guardian Life. They're fantastic. They haven't released their 2021 destination yet. Once that becomes available, they'll put it out on their website, and they'll send out emails to contracted agents. But I will tell you this, one of the things that I've learned, and probably why I'm at where I'm at in my career and with my business, is I was always told when I made sales conferences to seek out the top 10 guys. People love to talk about their business. So whether it's with IAMS, you make a sales conference, or it's with National Guardian Life, find those top 10 guys, find out what they're doing to get them where they're at. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Maybe you just need to, sharpen the spokes up a little bit in there and shine them up to give yourself more opportunities. So again, make the trips and take advantage of all the vast knowledge of people who are willing to share what's helped them get to the top. So some of the biggest challenges, getting comfortable with the concept. I told you back in '93, my $25,000 annuity, I thought it was a huge deal. Obviously, doing it this long, we see checks a lot bigger than that. And again, it's just because I know that clients believe pre-planning is a good idea, and I know how to present to them to make it easy for them to do business. So again, I'm going to stress those benefits of pre-planning, and I'm going to keep it on the top of my mind every client every day. I'm going to tell you how I know that works. That's nothing more than a habit. And the reason I know that, I'm going to brag on myself for a minute. I've bitten my nails since I was 5 years old. I just turned 56. I actually stopped biting my nails for good about a month and a half, well, about a month and a half ago. And here's why I'm saying that's important. That was just a bad habit I had. Once I got out of the habit of doing it and I made it a good habit of not doing it, I don't even think about it. It's the same with this. If you don't ask everybody, have you prepaid your funeral and get in that habit, you won't sell a lot of this product. If you make it a habit, I promise you, you'll be surprised at the amount of business that you do with National Guardian Life. So we're going to be wrapping things up here. So I'm going to go through this last part, which I think is very, very important. So just hang in there with me. We have a guide for beneficiaries that we use with our clients. Now, once you become licensed with National Guardian Life through IAMS, we make this available to you to be able to put into your company logo and brand it to yourself. But the reason that I did this guide was I had a bad experience. I had a client who had about a $500,000 of annuity premium with. The daughter called me, told me mom had passed away about a week earlier, and I said, I understand that. There's things that are more important than meeting with me right now. But once you get through that stuff, we need to set an appointment up so we can talk about this money that your mom's left to you. And her words to me were, that's not going to be necessary, John. I've already talked down with the guy at the bank that I've been with for a while, and he's going to handle everything for me. And so at that point, I realized I don't know if I can 100% make that not happen to us in our business, but we're going to try. So I developed this guide for beneficiaries, and what it allowed us to do was go back out and see every client. We collected all new data from the client. And then what we did is we took it back, we analyzed the data, and then we made recommendations to the client. So again, let me tell you a little bit about our successes with that. In a 6-month period of getting this guide into our existing clients' hands, we wrote 1.5 million in additional annuity premium. We wrote 200,000 in single life premium, and we wrote $150,000 in National Guardian Life premium. And again, practice makes perfect. So I'm going to show you what the guide looks like and how we use it and tell you why it's important. We just had, and I'm just going to use this example, the gentleman that works for me. He's been my best friend since kindergarten. He's my right-hand man in the business. He just shared with me last week. He's like, man, I'm glad I put the guide in the house. He said, I heard from the son of our client. He found the guide, and it says right on there, for help settling my estate, call my advisor. He called us last Friday. The guy that works for me went out and wrote an $80,000 annuity on this client, on the son. Now, if this hadn't been in the house, who knows where the son goes to look for help. But this led him right back to Entingh Financial Services. So we believe if it's in the house, every time we've put it into a house, the clients have told us, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing. I can't wait to share this with my children, because there's pages in here that you can't see for proprietary reasons until you're eligible to do the whole guide. But we have in there everything from what they should do at time of death, to where important documents are located, to letters that are pre-written to the pension, to the credit card companies. Anywhere where they're going to need to do stuff to help settle an estate is in this booklet. There's a letter in there from me. All you would have to do is put your name on it, but it just tells the client how much we appreciate their business, and we have the experience of helping them settle their estate. We've got great people around us to get questions answered should we need it, and we're going to be there for their family when they need us the most. So here's the financial organizer that we went through. And we went through and we update everything with them. And I'm going to tell you something about your clients, because I have the same clients. If you think your clients tell you everything, I got 1.5 million of annuity premium, 200,000 of single premium life, and 150,000 of NGL to promise you they don't, because those were current clients of ours that we thought we knew everything about. That by going through this with them opened up a lot of stuff that that for whatever reason was missed, wasn't shared with, and it doesn't matter. It came out onto this document. And you'll notice question 8 there on the right-hand side, have you prepaid your funeral? If they say yes, my next question is, do you have any money that you're worried about losing to a nursing home that you know you want to go to somebody in particular? If they say, well, yes, again, we're going to make a note out there, and then we're going to circle back around and talk to them. This isn't about launching into a sales pitch. This is about collecting the information to be able to make an intelligent proposal to the client based on the facts that you've picked up from them. So again, on the back of the financial organizer, we have a notes section. I will tell you that what we're doing, and we're done here, but just to kind of wrap this up, what we're doing in our offices, we are actually on lockdown here in Ohio. We have a shelter in place that was issued effective tonight. So we're going to spend our next 14 days on the telephone. We're reaching out to every single client, and we have a lot of clients. We've been doing this for over 30 years. But we're going to touch base with every one of them. We're going to make sure they have a beneficiary guide in the house. If they don't, we're going to mail it to them, but we're going to use that time on the phone to update all their financials with them. So again, once you're licensed, you have access to this. It's a great tool, not only in person, but even if you just want to call the clients and let them know you're sending it out to them. But in order to do that, you need to get updated financial information, because if you have that, if they have the guide and you have the updated financial information, again, if you had never met them, you could walk in and help their family settle their estate if you have these documents in place. So on that note, thank you so much for your attention this morning. And Tony, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, John, thanks so much. Excuse me, we've got a few questions too here. So let me show my screen here. All right, so let me start. Quite a few here, actually. Okay. All right, hang on. Sifting through this. Is this available in Texas? Is the first question.
Let's go back. Now I gotta go back to my sheet because we're past the slide. But if you give me a second there, I will take a look.
I think the funeral is, but the isn't, but the estate is, if I remember.
I think that, well, the estate's usually available in every state, but let me look at Texas here for you. Texas. So the funeral trust is not available. The estate planning trust is.
Okay.
So again, you could use the estate planning trust just with them having the understanding that, you know, there is a 5-year look back on that one.
All right. Next question. Irrevocable trust approved in Florida.
The irrevocable trust is for the estate planning trust, but not, again, for the funeral trust.
Okay. Does the 5-year Medicaid look back period vary by state?
I'm not an attorney, but I can only speak on Ohio, and I believe it is everywhere. But again, I'm not going to give legal advice.
Okay. All right, here's a little longer question. Can you write the policy without the trust and name of the person as a beneficiary, then add the trust if needed for the spend down?
No.
All right. And then how long did you say that it usually takes NGL to pay the death benefit?
48 hours.
Okay, would you use this for someone who has long-term care? And if so, how would you position it?
Yeah, you could. It would just really be at that point just about pre-planning, setting the money aside and knowing it's there for their final expenses and that it can be used at any funeral home. Still serves a purpose.
Okay, and then as a fact finder, is that something that you developed or can you make it available to the agent?
Yeah, so that's part of the whole beneficiary guide.
Mhm.
Once they're licensed with NGL and through IAMS, then Sean and the creative department can help them get access to that.
All right. Okay, and then got a question here that I think I can answer that one. Is there a list of what states these products are available in? And that is yes.
Yes, and you can
Right.
always, yes, you can. You can go to National Guardian Life's website as well.
Mhm. Can you write both products on one person?
Yes, you absolutely can. Yep, absolutely. And that would go
Uh,
back to that 1035 exchange I did where he had 20,000 in cash value.
right.
So we could put 15 in the funeral trust and we put the other 5 in the estate planning trust.
Okay. Connecticut, is it available in Connecticut?
In Connecticut. Should have left that sheet up longer, huh?
Yep. Yep.
All
Hang on to
right.
that sheet just
Yeah,
in
let me
case.
get here. 5,400 into the funeral trust and again 100,000 the estate planning trust.
Okay. All right. Now, what we already answered as far as the guide is concerned. And that is it. So with that, I want to thank everyone again for attending. I do have one last polling question, and that question is going to be, if you'd like additional information on NGL or get appointed, I am launching that question to you. And those of you that are looking for more information will make sure that you get that. Okay, I'll go ahead and close this out. So lastly, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to me. We do have 4 life sales directors here. You can either reach out to me. There's my email address. You can contact Reed Starks at reed@imsinc.com, Jess Riley at jess@imsinc.com, or at Jason Dover at jason@imsinc.com. You can also reach us here at this 800 number, 800-255-5055, and just ask to speak to one of the life sales directors. Again, I want to thank you guys for joining the webinar. Everybody, please stay safe out there, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Tony.